Now, another question that you might ask now is, as we can see this representation of our UXML down here, you can see it's called UXML preview. Now, as you can see, we cannot edit this. Now, we might ask, could we have written this line just as code ourselves? And the answer is yes, you can do that. There is also a different way how you can inspect those files, and that is just basically in a code editor. Just take the file and look at it, and we are going to do this just now. Now for that, let's open our code editor. We will have to rearrange this a little bit such that all those things fit on the screen. You can see here on the right hand side, I'm having my normal Unity inspector. This is just the thing that you have for all your game objects. I will put this down here so we have more space for the UI builder. Still a little bit cluttered here, but that's okay. And now, how do we get this file opened? We have our project open on the in Visual Studio here, as you can see. And now just choose your file and open it. And now you can see it's not showing what we have here, and that is because we did not save yet. When we save and wait a second, we will get the same representation that we have down here. And so I don't know about you, but I think that this watching this actually in your code editor is a little bit more convenient because, for one, you have a little bit more space in your code editor, because in Unity it's always a little bit depending on the other windows that you have. And also you have at least a little bit of color that is kind of showing you the attributes, or that makes it a little bit easier to distinguish what are attributes and what are actual element names. That's harder here, but obviously the biggest advantage is that you can actually edit this code. And so let's see if we can do something that has some real effect in our layout here. Now let's, for example, choose this one element that we gave this this background color. It's not visible because we did not give those elements any sizes, so they basically just collapse. So let's just do that. Let's set this to, let's say, 100 pixels and 100 pixels. Now the element is visible. We can see our color from before. And now when we go to the file, and let's change this hex value, let's change this RGB value to 200 here and save the file. Oh, and now we can see something bad happens. We get some error. So you might have some idea why this actually happened. And now this is a thing that you will get with UI Builder, that you sometimes have to be a little bit careful with your workflow. Now, the reason we got this error was that we went to this visual element and we changed its size. We didn't save the file, and then we made some other changes on inside our code editor and saved this one. And now it was basically complaining that wait, I'm having some other work done on this file, because the way that we had to store this changed sizes was actually in the same file that we are editing here. So we were basically editing this file from two sides, and then Unity said, okay, wait, there is some conflict. And I cannot accept your one of your changes. And so you can see it changed our background color, the one we changed in the code, but it did not save the changed size. So now if we want to make this element visible again, we have to change the size once again and now save it. And now you can see it works. And when we now go back to the code and change something else, let's change this now to 10. We save the file, we go back into UI Builder, and sure enough, now you can see the color adjusts and is using the property that we set in the code. So, okay, now the coding people amongst you might now say, oh, great, so I can basically just dump the UI Builder and do all of my stuff in code. Now, Yes, technically you could do that, but if that's a good idea, I don't know, you maybe should decide this for yourselves. When we now watch, I just made the little layout that we had in those slides. I just created this over here. So let's now just open it. I just need to be able to read the file name. I want the finished version. There it is. Now, this is still a very small layout, but this is the thing that we worked on or that we watched at in the slides as our main example. And you can see there are all sorts of attributes set regarding the size and regarding the colors here. And now let's take a look at how the UXML for that thing looks like. And that's basically it. And now I could have done all of this in code here, but look, like it doesn't look like the most handy way, particularly setting all those attributes manually in the code. And that's why the recommended and the normal workflow that you will be using is not editing the UXML files actually, but doing everything that you can do in UI Builder such that you get this generated automatically. And sometimes now and then there are some certain things that you might actually have to edit here, but this is really just occasionally and really just for some special cases. For my work, in 99% of the time, I could go along with using this just in UI Builder, and obviously doing a lot of manipulation then in code in C# script, but that is a whole different sort of ball game than going around in this file and searching for particular attributes and creating your layout like that. So I'm sorry to disappoint the pure coding people amongst you. You will stop writing all your code in UXML because it's just terribly tedious. So to summarize what we did over the last sections, now we can store everything that we do in UI Builder in our UXML layout files by having our visual tree representation or this hierarchy representation encoded into this file, and also every attribute that we can set in the inspector here being encoded and being just added to the elements. But the normal workflow is use your UI Builder as much as you can, and then just save the results in the UXML files. Now, there are two ways how you can inspect your UXML files. One way is down here in the UI Builder itself, but that's a read-only version, and then you can just open the files in your code editor and watch them over there. And now that's basically it. Now, obviously, one use case for that, if you are not actually working on the UXML file, what you can obviously see is if there's something wrong in your file, right? If everything was saved correctly, if you really need to understand why is there some little bug in your UI, is this attribute actually set, then obviously it's a good way to, for example, for debugging, just look into your UXML file and check is everything correct. Those things that you are setting on a particular file should all be represented in your UXML file. So it is kind of your source of truth. It gets a little bit different once you start working with templates and you put in templates of other layouts inside one another. But as long as you have an example like this here, all the attributes, everything that we set will be represented in our UXML file. And I think that's basically all that there is to say for this, for a basic start, how to work with UXML files and what they are actually doing.